Hello everyone, my name is Plínio Marco de Toni. I'm a psychology professor at the Midwestern State University in Brazil and the head of the Psychology of Bilingualism Lab. And today I'm going to show you guys how to draw the diencephalon. There is the inner part of the brain and more specifically the cerebrum, and how to name all the structures related to that, or at least the main structures related to the diencephalon. So first off, I'd like to start by showing you guys a brain model and identify where the diencephalon is located. So if we get the whole brain, so here we have the brain, here we have the cerebellum, the brainstem with these three structures. So the midbrain here in the up here, this upper part of the brainstem. In the middle we have the pons, and down here the medulla oblongata, and down here of course we're gonna have the rest of the central nervous system. There is the spinal cord. So if we have a brain, and of course we have two hemispheres, so left and right hemispheres, when we split the brain into two halves, down here we have the brainstem, cerebellum, and the cerebrum. This whole structure here is the cerebrum. And the cerebrum can be divided into two main structures. There's called telencephalon up here and diencephalon. There is this structure that is located in the inner part of the cerebrum. And this is what we are going to analyze today. Understand how this structure is composed by different structures and the name of them. Okay, so that's the whole idea. Okay, so first off, we can start by drawing. I have like the whole representation here, just for you guys to have an idea of what we're gonna be seeing. So here we have the whole central nervous system, actually the medium view of the central nervous system. So as I showed there, here we have the spinal cord, the brainstem, cerebellum, and the cerebrum. And cerebrum divided into telencephalon up here and the diencephalon. So it's this inner part that we're going to analyze today. So I'm going to just start by drawing this upper part here. That would be the telencephalon. So we're going to start with the corpus callosum that connects both hemispheres, and then we have all the sulci and gyri. It got kind of crooked here, but that's not important. Related to the telencephalon. And here in the middle, we are going to draw the diencephalon. So I'm going to just leave a space and draw the rest of the brain down here. So that would be the brainstem. And not just the brain, but also the spinal cord. So we have brainstem, up here the midbrain, this part here in the middle, the pons, and down here the medulla oblongata. Of course, like the proportions got kind of weird. No worries about that. That's not the focus of this class. The idea is just try to identify the structures. We also have another part here that is also part of the midbrain, because the midbrain, there is kind of a canal. It's called cerebral aqueduct that kind of goes in the middle of the midbrain. So this is also part of the midbrain. And here we have the fourth ventricle. And all right, so here in the back, we're going to have this cerebellum. But first, before I draw the cerebellum here, I just wanna close, just like I did here, I wanna close this structure, so the front part of the diencephalon, and also the back of the diencephalon, the front part and the back. And now I'm gonna draw a cerebellum. So that would be the cerebellum. Okay, here we have the main structure, like the space where we're gonna draw the diencephalon. So there are many different structures here. So we can start by adding two different structures. So this structure here that is called infundibulum. No worries about the names right now. I'm gonna write everything down in a little while. So infundibulum and the hypophysis. Up here we have another structure that is called optic chiasm, that has to do with vision. And down here, the mammillary body. Here in the back we have the pineal body. So that would be the pineal body. Okay. Other than that, I'm actually just mentioning all these structures here because we already saw that in previous classes. So I'm not actually worried about writing like all these names again because we already saw that before. I mean, like this upper part here. So, but I forgot to mention in the previous class that there are actually two main structures that is part of the telencephalon, this upper part here. Not the diencephalon here in the middle, but part of the telencephalon. One is called, that goes down here, one is called fornix, this structure here, and another one is called septum pellucidum. That's written like this: septum, two L's, septum pellucidum. And the septum pellucidum, the main importance of the septum pellucidum is that this structure divides the two lateral ventricles. So in the back of the septum pellucidum, we have one lateral ventricle. So if we remove the septum pellucidum, take it out of here, there in the back we are going to have a whole space that is called lateral ventricle, that is inside the hemisphere, that is filled up with cerebral spinal fluid. Cerebral spinal fluid. Cerebral spinal fluid. And of course, like as I said, we have the septum pellucidum here that divides both lateral ventricles. Why? Because we have one inside this hemisphere and another one inside the other hemisphere that goes up here. Because of course, like for me to get to this part, I had to remove one hemisphere, just like that. So here we have one hemisphere. Here would be the septum pellucidum. Here this white part, the fornix, and up here the corpus callosum. And if I remove this structure here, I'm going to have the lateral ventricle deep inside. But I also have another one here, right? So septum pellucidum, when I put them together, I have inside this hemisphere one lateral ventricle, inside this one another one. So that's the idea. Okay. Other than that, all right, so that would be the rest of the telencephalon. oops, phalon, there is an H here, telencephalon, that we didn't see last class. So now we're going to start analyzing the diencephalon, at least the rest of the drawing that goes inside here. So from this part up to here, we are going to draw something that is called hypothalamic sulcus. Hypothalamic sulcus. Why? Because here we have the thalamus with one structure in the middle that is called interthalamic adhesion. Interthalamic adhesion. And here in the back we have another structure that is called choroid plexus. Choroid plexus. I always forget the name of the structure here. Choroid plexus. And that's it. So that would be the diencephalon. So now what we're going to do is name these structures. So I'm going to just add a couple of numbers here, and then we're going to write everything down. So we can start with the thalamus, that is this whole structure here. And of course, like we have one thalamus in this hemisphere, we're going to have another thalamus in the other hemisphere that I removed. So that's going to be number 1. This little dot here in the middle that connects both thalamus is going to be number 2. This sulcus here, 3. This structure, 4. Here in the back, 5. That is this structure. Here we have this one here, 6, 7. The connection between number 7 and the rest is going to be 8, 9, this one here. And here we have another one that is actually this region. That's going to be 10. And I think that's it. Yeah, so that would be the structures, the main structures of the diencephalon. So let's just name everything here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So number 1, that is this whole structure. It's the thalamus. Thalamus. 2, it's the interthalamic adhesion. Interthalamic adhesion, that is the structure that connects both thalamus. Number 3, it's the hypothalamic sulcus. Hypothalamic sulcus. It's gonna get all crooked now, but that's not important. Number 4 is the choroid plexus. Choroid plexus. That is the structure that produces cerebrospinal fluid. And actually there are choroid plexus in different parts of the brain, in different parts of the ventricles. Here is one of the parts. 5 is the pineal, the pineal body. 6, there is this one here, is the optical, or actually optic chiasm. Optic chiasm, that is the structure that where we have a crossover. So everything that you see on one part of the visual field goes to the opposite hemisphere. And the part of the brain where these visual stimuli cross over to the other side is the optical chiasm, this structure here, optical chiasm. All right, 7, that's the hypophysis, like this, hypophysis. 8, there is the structure that connects the hypophysis with this rest of the brain here. It's called infundibulum. So 8, infundibulum. 9, that's the mammillary body, mammillary body, separated, mammillary body. And 10, that's region, this region here is called, I don't remember now. Let me think here. This region is called, because this whole structure, if we get this whole structure here, including all the numbers that we saw, this whole structure is called hypothalamus. So here we have the hypothalamus. We have the thalamus and the hypothalamus. And this structure here, just this one here, that is part of the hypothalamus, is called, let me try to remember. I'm not going to do any editing here, so I'm really thinking. That connects to we have the infundibulum, and then we have the hypophysis, and this structure here. I just recorded a video in Portuguese, and then there I remember the structure, but in English I don't remember now. This structure is called tubercinarium. Yeah, tubercinarium in Portuguese, tubercinarium. So it's written like this, tubercinarium. I just remember the name because I remember, I know that this structure is kind of blue, a little bit blue. And cinarium in Latin is blue, so cinarium, tubercinarium. So this structure here is also related to, there are different nuclei here responsible for the sensation of thirsty, or the sensation of, for example, when you are very hungry or thirst, you activate some structures here in the tubercinarium. There is, as I said, part of the hypothalamus. Okay, other than that, yeah. And of course, like there are some structures that is not part of the diencephalon, but we can also mention here. So we have the, down here, we have, I'm gonna just add another number, 11. So here we have the fourth, 11, the fourth ventricle. Up here, I forgot to mention, but there is another ventricle. There is actually the space that we have here in the diencephalon, because the idea is that when we put together both hemispheres, we leave a little space here in the middle, and this space is also filled up with cerebrospinal fluid as well, just like the lateral ventricles in the back of the septum pellucidum here, septum pellucidum. So we have the lateral ventricles there. We have the third ventricle. So it's hard to add a number, but I'm gonna just put here 12, that would be actually the space, the whole space. 12, that's the third ventricle. And then we have the fourth ventricle. Connecting the third and the fourth ventricle, we have this structure here. See, here we have cerebrospinal fluid. Then it goes down all the way to the fourth ventricle. And this structure here, this canal, let's say, it's called, so here I'm gonna put a 13. It's totally crazy, like the numeration here, like third goes after fourth and 13 goes on top of 11, but that doesn't matter. So this structure here is called cerebral aqueduct. So cerebral aqueduct. Aqueduct, like this, cerebral aqueduct. And I think that's pretty much it. So that's the diencephalon. Thank you so much. Any questions, just let me know. Bye-bye.